I'm not naked, I promise. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my July reading recap, and July was a good month for me. It was a good month for me last year as well, and I read 10 books this month. So we're gonna jump into them. I actually read quite a few physical books, so I'm gonna go through those first, and then I'll go through the ones that I read on my Kindle. Okay, the first one I read is A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston, I'm not sure. This book, Ashley Poston is one of my favorite authors of all time. She wrote The 7 Year Slip, she wrote The Dead Romantics, and those are both books that I loved, like deep into my soul. And this one I was so excited for because she just has such a good way of writing about grief, and her writing style is just really beautiful. This one is about Elsie, and she gets stuck in her favorite romance series town. So like, think if you've read Chestnut Springs, you drove into Chestnut Springs and you got stuck there. Essentially what this book's about. And she meets someone there. Obviously this is a romance book, and that kind of transpires. For me, this did not hit very hard at all. Like, it just felt really odd. I don't even know exactly what I didn't like about it. It just didn't connect with me. I didn't really feel the vibe between the two main characters, the love interest and Elsie, and I just like, I don't know, I think I had too high of expectations for it, and then I went in like I was gonna be disappointed regardless because it was on a pedestal. This book though, it's funny because I was reading a book, and this is like so trippy. I was telling Sam about it. So I'm reading this book that's about another book, the series that she gets stuck in, and in one of the scenes, the book like falls apart, and it's like, you know, whatever. This book, as I was reading it, literally fell apart. I had to super glue it back together. I have a page just randomly that fell out of it, but like, I'm talking like an entire chunk. You can see where I super glued it. Entire chunk just like came out of the book. So I just thought that was like, am I living in an alternate universe? What is happening with my experience with this book? The cover's stunning, but this one just wasn't for me. I float between a 2.5 and a 3. I think I probably would go with the 2.5, unfortunately. The next book I read is The Lost Ticket by Freya Sampson. This book was so stinking cute. This is about Libby, and her life is just kind of in shambles. A lot of things have happened, and her life has just been flipped upside down. So she goes to London to live with her sister. She's riding the bus, and she meets this older man. I don't remember what his name is. She meets Frank on the bus, and they start talking, and she realizes that Frank has been riding the bus for like 60 years trying to find a woman that he met on the bus 60 years ago that he was like obsessed with, and he got her number but he lost it, and he's just been looking for her for years and years and years because she changed his life. So Libby starts helping him on that journey, and then there's a lot of things in this book where it was like the curveballs you get thrown, truly I wasn't expecting. I was like, wait a minute. What's happening? There is romance in this as well. And it's just a really sweet, cute book. Like, it was just like, when I was done reading it, I was like, oh, like, I love this one. So feel good, so perfect for summer, but honestly, you could read it any time of year. And I just, like, I don't know that I have anything bad to say about it. So I gave this one 4.25 stars. It's just so sweet. The next two I'm going to actually group together because they're part of a series, and that is the Love and Gelato trilogy by Jenna Evans Welch. So I read Love and Gelato, and I read Love and Olives, and then I have Love and Luck that is on my August TBR, little sneak peek for you. So these are just so adorable. They're not necessarily connected, like the characters in this one are not in this one, but they're all revolving around young girls who are trying to like find their own and come into who they are as a woman, and family dynamics. And then there's like a really cute, sweet little teenage romance that happens in both of them. So this first one is Love and Gelato, and I actually read them out of order because I guess Love and Luck, which is one that takes place in Ireland, is in between the two, but I skipped, I don't know. So this one, Love and Gelato, takes place in Tuscany, Italy, and it follows Lena. She's going to spend the summer with her dad that she doesn't even really know. It's just such a cute, like, feel-good story because Lena comes into who she is as a woman, and she, you know, starts making decisions for herself, and she's just, like, a really cute character. And the teenage romance in this is, like, oh my goodness, reading it now as an adult, like, you're just like, oh, like, the cutesy little feelings. I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope one day my kids get to experience that because it's just so freaking sweet. And I love this. the setting in this book, like the way that she describes the Italian like countryside and, you know, all these landmarks and stuff. It's really beautiful. And I was reading, like as I'm reading it, I'm like looking up the places to get like a visual of what's kind of going on, which I really enjoyed. And I just think that this series is just so stinking sweet. So like I said, that's the first one. And then we have Love and Olives. And this one takes place in Santorini. And again, the setting, the way the setting is described and the way she's written that is just like top tier. I'm obsessed with it. Like I was looking up pictures of Greece and trying to find all these things. And this one is about Liv. Her name is Olive, but she goes by Liv. And she's going to Santorini again to spend time with her dad. And her dad like left when she was a young girl, so she hasn't seen him in a long time. And all of a sudden he starts sending her these postcards and he wants to see her again and reconnect. So she goes over there, and her dad is obsessed with Atlantis, like wants to find Atlantis. And so she goes over there, and she's under the pretense that like he left her for a certain reason, and you know, she's a teenager, so she thinks she knows everything, and she's going into it with like, well, I don't want to do this, I don't want to hear his side of the story, there's no way in the world that you could explain this to me and make me feel okay with the fact that you left me. But it's just like her connecting with her dad is so sweet. And again, the teenage romance is adorable. I just like, these books are so cute, and I can't wait to read Love and Luck. It's like pretty thin compared to this one in Love and Gelato, so I'm sad it's gonna be over, but these are just like so sweet. And I think that if you were giving a book to a young girl, a teenager, or maybe even a little younger than that, I would recommend these books because they're just so sweet, and the female main characters are like great role model examples for young girls. So I think these are just like so sweet. Speaking of ratings, Love and Gelato I gave a 4.5. I will say on this one though, it is pretty long. Like this is like 500 pages I think, and I did feel like it was drawn out in certain aspects. Like there were a few scenes where I was like, okay, like what are we doing? This is taking forever. So this one I gave a 4. I hate dust jackets. Okay. The next 3 are all connected, and these are like my new baby. Like this is my new prized possession. I fell in love with this series, and I can't say enough good things about it. So you're probably wondering what it is. It is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Now this is going to be a trilogy. Currently there are only 2 and a novella published in the series. But I read Powerless on my Kindle actually, and then was like, I need the physical copy. Like this is everything to me. And so I read this one, then I read actually Reckless, then I read the novella. Before I get into what they're about, reading order, I would recommend you do a tandem read with these 2, because otherwise, this one I did start immediately after finishing Powerless, because there's like a little blurb in here about it, I think. I could have been making that up, but I know that I started this before I started Reckless, and this is so slow. I love the characters in it, but it's so slow. It's, this is gonna sound weird. It's so, how many times can I say it's so slow? It's so slow, but also the connection is so fast that it feels really forced. And that was like odd to me. Which, I mean, if you're writing a novella, it does have to be kind of quick. But there wasn't a lot of backstory, and there wasn't a lot of build-up or a lot of, you know, evidence as to why they had the connection that they did. It was just kind of like, here's how they met, and da-da-da-da. But if you go off of this, where there's so much, like, tension and, like, so much time with the characters compared to this, it just feels wonky. So, that being said, read them together, but just make, like, I would maybe look up how to read them together, because this obviously you're going to finish before you finish this, and I think there's a spoiler in this guide for this book. So that being said, let me tell you what it's about. It is a fantasy series, and this is young adult, I believe. This is about Peyton and Kai. And in this world, there are ordinaries and there's elites. Elites have powers. They can, you know, like climb walls, they can have fire, they can, you know, have intense, like, hearing and all of that good stuff. Each person has their own little gift. The ordinaries don't have any gifts. And in this world, the king is trying to purge all of the ordinaries. They don't want them in their city. Peyton is an ordinary, and then there's Kai. He's actually the prince, and he obviously has power, so he's an elite. and he's actually the enforcer for the king. And what that means is he's been trained his whole life to be the king's hitman, essentially. So he's been tortured and shaped into this like killer, and when the king needs him to go dispose of someone, that's what he does. They meet because they have these trials every 5 years, I believe, and in the trials you're just basically like trying to it's like Hunger Games in a way, and you're just trying to survive, and they don't all die, but it's very common that they do die throughout the trials. And this year they were very different because it was an anniversary year. Paedon gets thrown in the trials, and Kai is in it as well to prove to the people that he is as like badass and elite as he truly is. That's how they meet. Does become a love story. There's so many other things that are entangled in this, and there's a much bigger story than just the trials, obviously. I mean, there's other books. Friendship is big in here, family, there's like a love triangle situation. It is just so good. The banter and the tension. This reminds me a lot of Fourth Wing in that regard, because the tension is just like palpable and the banter is so good. I love this. Was a 5-star read for me. I am obsessed. This, I would say, if I had to like sum all that up, all my rambling up, TLDR, this is if Throne of Glass, Hunger Games, and like a little sprinkle of Once Upon a Broken Heart series all had a baby. That's what this is. And it's just it's so good. That being said, this is the first one in the series. This is the novella, and this is about Paedon's best friend, Adina. So I'm not going to get into anything else other than that. It goes in between, but like I said, do a tandem read. And then you have Reckless. And again, this follows Paedon and Kai and where their story leaves off in Powerless. I'm not going to spoil anything because this ends off on a really big cliffhanger, and then this is like the follow-up. Book 3 comes out in April 2025. I cannot wait. Like, truly 5-star series across the board. I do think if you don't really like care to learn about Adina, you don't need to read this. I don't think that it's absolutely a necessary thing to do. I gave this one 3 stars. The other 2 I gave 5. The rest of the books I did read on my Kindle. So the first one we are going to talk about is The Perfect Couple by Elin Hilderbrand. This has been on my TBR for months and months. I have had it checked out from the library on Libby for months and months, and I just keep renewing it. And then I saw that the movie adaptation with Nicole Kidman and a couple of other people is coming out on September 1st. And I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Elin Hilderbrand books are like some of my favorites, especially for the summer. So I was like, okay, no more putting this off. We're going to read it. We're going to do the damn thing. And we did. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. And this is part of her kind of like interconnected Nantucket series. A lot of her books are based in Nantucket, but there are 4 that are like part of a specific series that have the same characters, if that makes any sense at all. So it does obviously take place on Nantucket. There's a wedding happening. So this wedding is like the talk of the town, and it goes awry when the maid of honor is found in the Nantucket harbor the night before the wedding. If you've read her books, then you know Chief Ed Capanash. He is chief of police on Nantucket, and he is just like such like close to my heart character. I love him so much. He's in this. His daughter has a bigger role in this, and it's just very typical of Elin Hilderbrand books. You get the beachy, fun kind of setting, you have the mystery element, and then you also have the intertwined kind of points of view from every which way. I love that about her writing because you have so many points of view. Like, you get the story from every single person, and I'm sure that's so fun for her to write because she's like jumping into these different characters, and there's at least like 5, and it's, I don't know, it's just super fun. Then I read The Ministry of Time, and this book was a drag for me. It was putting me into a slump. It was not a book that I wanted to continuously pick up. Like, when I was reading it, I was enjoying it, but like I had to force myself to start it over and over again, and it took me so long to read because of that. And this isn't even a long book at all. And this book is about the ministry, and they essentially went back in time and pulled some people to live in present day, and you kind of just see how that plays out. And I feel like, I don't know if it was the writing style or because I was like segmenting it in my like reading, but I did not feel the connection between the 2 main characters at all. Like, the love interests, I was like, wait, what are we doing? Like, there were some breadcrumbs where I was like, oh, okay, like I can see you setting the scene, but then it was like setting the scene, scene is happening now, and it was like, whoa, 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 like this is weird. I didn't love that. The time travel aspect and like thinking how that would actually play out in real life was really cool, but I didn't feel the connection. I ended up giving this 3 stars, and that's because towards the end it did get super interesting. Like the ending was very like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And I did like that, but overall this book was just kind of like a like it was fine. Last one I'm going to talk about is Same Time Next Summer. This one is by Annabelle Monaghan. This one I gave 5 stars. I loved this book. Loved this one so much more than her last book that I read, which was, what was that called? Summer Romance. This one was like 10 out of 10, and I like, if you need a good beach read, you want like a very cute first love type of book, this is what you should read. This one is about Sam, and she is going to her family's beach house on Long Island with her fiance Jack, and her mom really wants her to get married at this inn, and they're like not really into it, but Sam like also kind of is, but doesn't feel like she can say that. So she's like, okay, we'll go. She's super uneasy. She's embarrassed by her family, her parents, the way they live at the beach, and her fiance is just like super rigid and like super, I don't know, like he's never someone I could be with at all. Like he's very like straight-laced, like his wife is meant to play a certain role, and she's gonna do this and follow this path because that's what makes sense and that's what she's going to do, and then his kids are gonna be the same way, and it's, yeah, we don't know. So they go there, and she runs into her first love, Wyatt. The connection in this book was just so stinking cute. Sam feeling her and like reading about her getting to where she can use her voice was like, yes, queen. Like I feel like that's probably a very common trope in Annabelle Monaghan's books because that's what happens in Summer Romance as well, but that's like a later in life romance, and this one is first love. This one I just truly was obsessed with. Surfing is a very big thing in this book, and I love surfing. I've been obsessed with the Olympics this year, and I've been obsessed with surfing since I watched the surf documentary on Apple TV Plus. You should watch it if you have not. It is a docu-series. It's canceled, but there's like 2 seasons. So anywho, this book I just loved. Perfect summer read, perfect romance, 10 out of 10. I have 2 DNFs for the month, and those are the RuPaul memoir. That one I probably will go back to, but it just like could not keep my attention, and that's when I was like in a slump. That's when I was reading The Ministry of Time or whatever the hell it's called, and I was just like, none of these are like speaking to me. And then I also did DNF Summer Sisters by Judy Blume. That one I got like 17% of the way through, and honestly it's still on my Kindle, but I'm just kind of like not into it. Like I'm like, It started out cute, and then it just kind of lost my attention. Same thing with, like, I was reading The Ministry of Time at the same time. Just reading those all 3 at the same time, none of them, like, grabbed my attention. So all of them now, when I go to them, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to read it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you read any books in July that you think I would like, please leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn on your post notifications. All my social media is linked down below. All the things. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!